Okay, today we're going to talk about something huge. We're breaking down one of the most critical and honestly fragile points in our entire global system. It's just a narrow stretch of water, but it has pushed the world to the absolute brink of chaos. We're talking, of course, about the Strait of Hormuz.
So, to really get a handle on just how big a deal this is, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the world's most critical choke point? Like the one spot that could bring the whole global economy to its knees? Well, you guessed it, it's the Strait of Hormuz. And what's just happened has shown us just how terrifyingly vulnerable it really is.
Check out this number, 21 million. Before this whole crisis blew up, that's how many barrels of oil every single day were passing through this tiny strait. It's a staggering amount, and let's be real, we all completely took it for granted.
So 21 million, it's a huge number. Kind of hard to wrap your head around, right? Well, let's put it this way. For every 5 barrels of oil used anywhere on Earth, in your car, to heat a home, to make the stuff you buy, one of them, had to pass through this single spot. Just let that sink in for a minute.
Okay, so before we dive into the nuts and bolts of the crisis, we've got to understand what things were like before. Because this place wasn't just important, it was the world's energy lifeline. Seriously, and if you don't get that part, the chaos that comes next won't make a whole lot of sense.
And this really shows you what we're talking about. Look at this breakdown. We've got 20% of all oil consumed on the planet, a full quarter of all the oil that travels by ship, and on top of that, 20% of the world's LNG trade, all of it, just squeezed through this one little channel. It's pretty wild when you see it laid out like that.
And here's the kicker. For the big players in the Gulf, we're talking Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Qatar, the UAE, this isn't just their preferred route, it's their only route out to the sea. There's no other way for them to get their oil and gas to the rest of us. No plan B, period.
So when you have that kind of total dependency, right? No plan B? Well, that creates a massive, almost unbelievable vulnerability at the heart of our whole global system. Let's take a closer look at what that means.
You know, a lot of people ask, well, why don't they just use pipelines to go around it? It's a fair question, but this chart shows you exactly why that's not a real fix. The pipelines that do exist can handle maybe 5 million barrels a day, on a good day. But the normal flow is 21 million, so you've still got 16 million barrels with no way out. It doesn't even come close to solving the problem.
And that, right there, is what we mean when we talk about a geopolitical choke point. It's the perfect example. You've got this super narrow channel. The shipping lanes are only a few miles wide at some points, squeezed right between Iran and Oman. And that simple fact of geography, well, it means that whoever controls that tiny bit of water has a terrifying amount of power over the entire global economy.
And then it happened. On February 28, 2026, all of this theory, all this what if, it became a horrifying reality. The choke point was finally choked. The lifeline was severed.
And look how quickly everything just fell apart. It all kicked off with joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Iran's response was swift and, frankly, predictable. They did the one thing they knew would cause the most pain. They shut down the strait and mined it. The U.S. immediately moved to force it back open, and from there, boom, the conflict just exploded across the region. A complete chain reaction.
And right there, that's the turning point. The second those mines went into the water and the first tanker turned around, this stopped being just another regional conflict. It instantly morphed into a full-blown global economic crisis.
So let's talk about that economic crisis, because the consequences weren't something people worried might happen down the road. No, the fallout was immediate, it was severe, and it hit pretty much every corner of the globe.
The first thing everyone noticed? The price of oil. Bam! It shot up to nearly $120 a barrel. That kind of jump sends immediate shockwaves through every market and puts the entire world on the brink of a massive recession.
But honestly, the price of gas was just the tip of the iceberg. Suddenly, natural gas supplies were in jeopardy. We saw over 40 major energy facilities in the region get damaged in the fighting. Inflation started to spike, not just on fuel, but on transportation, food, everything. And for huge importers like India, China, and Japan, this was a moment of pure economic agony. A perfect storm, really, just one domino knocking over the next.
So you've got the global economy in a nosedive. And what happens next? Well, the military situation gets even worse. The standoff escalates to a point we haven't seen in decades. Seriously, we were teetering on the brink of a much, much bigger war. And you can see how both sides are just completely dug in. From the U.S. perspective, they're saying, look, we have to keep this waterway open. It's about freedom of navigation, and we can't let Iran hold the entire world economy hostage.
But if you look at it from Iran's side, they're saying, hey, you attacked us. This is a response to aggression, a defense of our sovereignty. Two totally different worlds, and neither side is backing down.
And this isn't just tough talk. The U.S. has moved over 4,500 Marines into the area. That's not a peacekeeping force. That's a sign that they are getting ready for a massive fight to take back control of the strait. The stakes just couldn't be higher.
So all of this, it leaves us with a really big and frankly unsettling question. This whole crisis has laid bare a fundamental weakness in our system. When a single, tiny waterway can hold the entire global economy hostage, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how strong is this system that we all depend on every single day?